Hello there, Cougar Academy Algebra 1A, and welcome to Lesson 4.6. Today, what are direct variation equations and how can you solve them? So, today, direct variation, we are dealing with a phenomenon that occurs when two variables, or two things, so to speak, we say directly increase or decrease with one another. So these are things like the more you work, the more money you make. Perhaps the higher the temperature, the more ice cream sales there are. So when they increase or decrease together, it's typically going to be worded as y varies directly as x. If you see that phrase, you are thinking direct variation. What is special about direct variation is it has something known as the constant of variation, which is really just the slope. And the key thing is that it is y over x in these examples. So for example, you're going to see these examples of direct variation. Something like y is equal to 3x. That is direct variation. Y is equal to 1/2 x. That is direct variation. Something like 2y equals x. This is direct variation because if you solve it, it's actually just y equals 1/2 x. That is still direct variation. The key thing, if you notice, they always have a y-intercept of 0. Always has 0 as y-intercept. So highlight that little snippet, 0 as a y-intercept. And it's also good to remember that the constant of variation is y over x for direct variation. So, first skill, just determine whether the equation is direct variation. Looking right at number 1, we can imagine a little plus 0 there. And since it's just y equals 8x, yes, it is direct variation. The constant of variation in this case is just that 8 in front of the x. So it's good to know what that is. And it's constant of variation, not a regular constant, a little bit different. Looking at number 2, y equals 9x plus 10. No, that is not direct variation. It's got a plus 10 there. As there's a y-intercept, it's no good. Number 3, a little trick here. Remember, solve it for y. So 2y is equal to negative 4x, dividing by 2 and dividing by 2. We have y is equal to negative 2x. That is direct variation. You can have a negative constant of variation. That's okay. So negative 2 is the constant. So see, hopefully you're like, this doesn't seem too bad. And looking at number 4 here. Again, solve for y. So subtract the 3x. Sorry about that. 6y is equal to negative 3x plus 12. And if you were to divide everything by 6, you'd have negative 3x, 36x plus 2. And as soon as you see that y-intercept, it is not direct variation. Okay? So that part's pretty easy. Now, even solving these, hopefully you'll find is not too bad. I'll write some steps down for you, and we are going to be finding the direct variation equation and also finding the missing value. So, first off, we have y varies directly as x. So, ding, 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 direct variation. Step 1 is to find y over x, which is the constant of variation. And we have a few instances. So, we know that when y is 8, x is 3. So we're going to take that y, I'll highlight it here, and we're going to divide it by its corresponding 3. And that simply is your constant, 8/3. That's all. Now, that's not the direct variation equation, however. That's just the constant. So step 2 is to write the equation. I would like you to write the equation for the direct variation. That is y is equal to 8/3 times x. You just put that constant in for the equation, and that's it. Part 3 then is find any missing values. So we are finding y when x equals 10. So we're basically just going to plug that 10 in for x and solve that. So again, hopefully you're like, okay, it seems a little confusing at first, but after some practice, hopefully it's not bad. So 8/3 times 10, use the calculator here. $26.6 repeated. You can also write that as a fraction. Math, enter, enter, and 80/3. Okay, so that's really it. If y varies directly as x, take those steps, and you can find the missing value. So let's just look at another one. You might be like, oh, I can handle this, but just watch, just see. So we are going to find the constant of variation, y over x, which is 10/6. That's going to reduce to 5/2. It's a good idea to reduce it if you can. 5/3, sorry. And that is going to then be y is equal to 5/3. A little typo there. X, and that's it. So part 3, find y when x equals 3. You're just plugging in 3 in for the x there. And if you were to multiply that out, 3's are going to cancel. Y equals 5. Good deal. So go on and try out 7 and 8. Okay, I'll do them in this video here. But pause, try them out. After you do them, go ahead, check and see if you get the right answer. So I'll be quiet here as you go through those. So for number 7, y is equal to 32/3. You can also have the decimal. That is fine. And for number 8, y equals 30. Okay. Now, direct variation, where it really is more important, is for word problems. I know they are not your favorite, but hopefully after the example, you'll see what's going on. So, number of cookies made by a bakery varies directly with time. So, it's not y varies directly as x, but we have c, cookies, which is like our y, varies directly with t, time, which is the x. The bakery is able to make 125 cookies, think of that as y, in 2 hours, which is x. So, part A, determine the equation for the number of cookies c over 1 hour. That's just asking you to find the direct variation equation. So, we just need to find the constant of variation first, which is going to be y over x, in our case, cookies, over time, or 125 over 2. What that means is you can generally make 62.5 cookies in 1 hour. It's quite the bakery. So that is the constant of variation, not the equation. We can write out c, or cookies, is equal to 62.5 t for time. I'm using interchangeably x and y, c and t. I hope that's not too confusing. So what we know is c is equal to 62.5 times 4 if we want to find how many cookies can be made in 4 hours. So we just multiply 62.5 times 4, and you can pump out 250 cookies in 4 hours. Be careful with our last part here. So customer calls in, needs 375 cookies. That is the y value. That is the y value. So you just need to be careful what we are finding. We are finding how long the bakery is going to take to make the order. So we set it up, 365 or 375 equals 62.5 times t. We divide that, and we get 6 hours of baking. Okay, great job, guys. Direct variation. Try out the practice problems. I believe in you, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good rest of the day.